I never thought I would land a helicopter in my own backyard, while the HOA president screamed about rules and regulations. But there I was, watching the big red rescue helicopter touch down on my grass while Karen stood at the neighborhood gate with her clipboard blocking the ambulance that was supposed to save my wife's life. Let me tell you how we got here. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. My name is Tom Patterson, and 6 months ago, my wife Sarah and I bought what we thought was our dream house. Sarah worked as a teacher, and I worked as an aircraft mechanic at County Regional Airport. When our real estate agent called us about a house in Meadowbrook Estates, we were excited. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, huge backyard with old oak trees, and a kitchen Sarah loved. There's just one thing, Janet said. It's in an HOA neighborhood. What's an HOA? Sarah asked. Homeowners Association, Janet explained. They make sure everyone keeps their houses nice. That sounds fine, I said. We saw the house and fell in love immediately. We made an offer that same day. A week later, a large envelope arrived. Inside was a thick binder, 300 pages of HOA rules, font sizes for house numbers, approved paint colors, mailbox regulations, fence heights, trash can placement, holiday decoration schedules. We don't have to read all this, right? I asked Sarah. She shrugged. It's probably just legal stuff. That was our first mistake. We moved in on a warm Saturday in April. Our neighbors seemed friendly. The Chen family from next door came over. Welcome to the neighborhood, Tom Chen said. You're going to love it here. Tom's smile changed slightly. Just keep your grass short. Trust me on that one. I laughed, thinking he was joking. He wasn't. On our third day, I met Karen Williams. I was in the garage unpacking boxes when a shadow fell across the driveway. A woman stood there, maybe 55 years old, expensive clothes and an unpleasant expression. She was holding a clipboard and a tape measure. Mr. Patterson? She asked. Yes, that's me, I said. Can I help you? I am Karen Williams, president of the Meadowbrook Estates Homeowners Association. I am here to conduct your new resident compliance inspection. Inspection? We just moved in 2 days ago, which is precisely why this inspection is necessary. She tapped on her tablet. We must ensure all new residents understand our community standards from day one. She walked to our mailbox and measured it. She took out a color sample card and held it up. Your mailbox is non-compliant, she announced. I stared at her. What's wrong with it? The approved color for mailboxes on Sycamore Lane is charcoal mist number 7042. Your mailbox is midnight black. These are not the same color. The previous owners had this mailbox, I said. Yes, and they were notified multiple times. You are the homeowner now, Mr. Patterson. You have 72 hours to repaint. The paint codes are in Appendix F. Okay, I'll look into it. Yes, I'm unpacking. Garage doors may not remain open for more than 30 minutes. You've had yours open for 41 minutes. Are you serious? Patterson, please close your garage door. She handed me a warning notice and walked away, her heels clicking on the driveway. Over the next 4 weeks, I received 11 official HOA violation notices. Violation number 1, trash cans visible from street. It was trash day, but they'd been out 15 minutes too long. Fine, $50. Violation number 2, garden hose not stored. Fine, $50. Violation number 3, vehicle parked in driveway overnight. My truck, in my driveway. Fine, $75. Violation number 4, unauthorized door decoration. Sarah's spring wreath needed pre-approval. Fine, $50. Violation number 5, grass height 2.8 inches. Maximum allowed, 2.5 inches. Karen measured with a ruler. Fine, $75. Violation number 6, unauthorized wind chimes. Fine, $50. Violation number 7, wrong recycling bin color. Fine, $50. Violation number 8, porch light on past 11 p.m. Fine, $50. Violation number 9, lawn mowing on Sunday. Only allowed Monday, Saturday. Fine, $100. Violation number 10, kids chalk on sidewalk. Fine, $50. Violation number 11, mailbox still wrong color. Final warning, that was $600 in fines in 4 weeks. Sarah was getting stressed. This is crazy, Tom. She measured our grass with a ruler. Who does that? Someone with too much power, I said. Maybe we can talk to her? That was Sarah's way. Always trying to find compromise. I didn't think it would work with Karen, but we could try. The monthly HOA meeting was held the first Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. Sarah and I decided to go and try to talk to the board. We arrived at 6:55 p.m. The community center was already half full. Karen sat at the front table with 4 other board members. The meeting started with budget reports, landscaping, gate maintenance, community center costs, normal stuff. Then they moved to violations and compliance. This month, we issued 67 violation notices, Karen said proudly. A 22% increase from last month. Karen, maybe the increase means the standards are too strict. Karen's smile froze. There is no such thing as too strict when it comes to protecting property values, Tom. But some violations are ridiculous, another resident said. I got fined for my basketball hoop being visible. Recreational equipment must be stored out of sight. Section 19, paragraph 4. It's bolted to my garage. I can't store it. Then you should have consulted the bylaws before installing it, Karen said smoothly. Next topic. Several people tried to complain, but Karen shut them all down with bylaw quotes. After the meeting, Tom Chen caught us in the parking lot. Don't let her get to you. She's been like this for 5 years. How does she stay in power? Sarah asked. She controls the board. Most people just pay the fines and try to stay under her radar. That's not right, Sarah said. No, it's not, Tom agreed. But that's Karen. 2 weeks after the HOA meeting, things escalated. I was at work when Sarah called me, crying. Tom, you need to come home, she said. What's wrong? Are you okay? Just come home, please. I told my boss I had a family emergency and drove home as fast as I could. When I got there, Sarah was standing in our front yard, staring at our mailbox. Someone had spray painted a giant red X on it. What the hell? I said, getting out of my truck. Sarah handed me a paper that had been taped to the mailbox post. It was from Karen. Final notice. Mailbox remains in violation of community standards. As per Section 24, Paragraph 12, Subsection C, the HOA board has the authority to mark non-compliant property features. You have 48 hours to correct this violation, or the mailbox will be removed and you will be charged for replacement and installation of a compliant mailbox. Estimated cost, $450. I felt my blood pressure rising. She vandalized our property. I know, Sarah said quietly. I called the police, but they said it's an HOA matter and we need to handle it through the association. This is insane. That night, I did something I should have done when we first moved in. I read all 300-plus pages of the HOA bylaws. Sarah was right. Buried deep in Section 24, Paragraph 12, Subsection C, there was a clause that gave the HOA board the authority to mark, modify, or remove any non-compliant exterior property features after proper notice has been provided to the homeowner. We had been given 3 notices about the mailbox. Technically, legally, Karen was within her rights. I repainted the mailbox the next day. I went to the hardware store and bought the exact paint specified in Appendix F, charcoal mist number 7042. It cost $35 for a tiny can of paint. The mailbox looked exactly the same as before. In June, we decided to fix our back deck. Some of the boards were rotting and one had actually cracked when I stepped on it. It was a safety issue. I hired a contractor named Jimmy. He came over on a Saturday morning to look at the deck and give me an estimate. Yeah, these boards are shot, Jimmy said, pulling up one of the loose planks. The previous owners didn't maintain this. We need to replace about 20 boards, maybe reseal the whole thing. How much? About $1,200 in materials and labor. I can start next weekend if you want. Let's do it. Jimmy started work the following Saturday. He had been pulling up old boards for about 20 minutes when I heard a familiar voice. Excuse me, what is going on here? Karen was standing at the gate to our backyard, clipboard in hand. We're repairing the deck, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. Do you have the proper permits? Karen asked. It's just a repair, I said. We're replacing some rotten boards. Karen shook her head. Her perfectly styled blonde hair didn't move. Any exterior modification, including repairs, requires HOA approval. You need to submit Form 27B with detailed plans, material specifications, and color samples. Jimmy, who was kneeling on the deck with a crowbar, looked up at me with raised eyebrows. Karen, one of these boards broke under my foot, I said. This is a safety issue. We need to fix it. Then you should not use the deck until proper repairs are approved through the correct channels, Karen said. She was writing something on her clipboard. The Architectural Review Committee meets on the first Wednesday of each month. You can submit your application for the July meeting. That's 3 weeks away, I said. Yes. I suggest you plan better in the future. She turned to Jimmy. Sir, I will need to see your business license, proof of insurance, and contractor registration. Jimmy stood up slowly. He was a big guy, over 6 feet tall, with arms like tree trunks. He looked at Karen, then at me, then back at Karen. Lady, he said slowly, I've been doing construction for 20 years. I've worked in some strict neighborhoods. But this is absolutely crazy. Your papers, please, Karen said, holding out her hand. Jimmy went to his truck and came back with a folder. He showed Karen his business license, his insurance certificate, and his contractor registration. She took photos of all of them with her phone. Thank you, she said. Mr. Patterson, work must stop immediately until you receive HOA approval. Failure to comply will result in fines of $250 per day. After she left, Jimmy packed up his tools. Man, he said, shaking his head, I can't work here until you get that approval. I've got other jobs lined up. Call me when you get the paperwork sorted out. I understand, I said. That afternoon, I received an official violation notice. Unauthorized construction activity. Fine, $250. I submitted Form 27B that same day, with detailed plans to replace 20 deck boards with identical boards of the same size, color, and material as the existing deck. I included photos, measurements, and material specifications. The Architectural Review Committee denied my application. The reason? Applicant failed to include environmental impact assessment for proposed modifications, for replacing rotten boards on a deck. I resubmitted with an environmental impact assessment that basically said I'm replacing old wood with new wood of the same type. They approved it in August, 3 months after the board first broke. By July, the constant stress from the HOA was affecting both of us, but especially Sarah. She started having trouble sleeping. She would wake up at 3 a.m. worrying about what new violation we might get. She started having headaches. Her doctor said it was stress and prescribed medication. Maybe we should just sell the house and move, she said one night. We've only been here 4 months, I said. We'd lose money on the sale. I know, but Tom, I can't live like this, always worrying about the grass height or the garbage cans or what color our front door is. It's making me sick. She was right. It was making her sick. It was making both of us sick. Let me think about it, I said. Around this time, I joined a gym. I needed to do something to deal with the stress, and working out seemed like a good option. One day, I was on the treadmill, probably looking pretty miserable, when the guy on the next machine started talking to me. Rough day? He asked. Rough few months, I admitted. I'm Mike, he said, reaching over to shake my hand while still jogging. Tom. We started talking. Mike was friendly, easy to talk to. He told me he was a helicopter pilot for County Medical Services. He flew the rescue helicopters that you see on the news, airlifting people from accident scenes and remote locations. That sounds like an interesting job, I said. It is. Never boring, that's for sure. He paused. What do you do? I'm an aircraft mechanic at the regional airport. No kidding. So you know planes? Yeah, I work on them every day. Small planes mostly, some corporate jets. We ended up talking for almost an hour after our workout. It turned out we had a lot in common. We both loved aviation, we both liked old action movies, and we both thought the current state of professional sports was ridiculous. As we were leaving, Mike asked where I lived. Meadowbrook Estates, I said. His expression changed immediately. Oh man, I almost bought a house there last year. Really? What happened? I went to look at a house, and the HOA president gave me this whole tour. She spent 45 minutes telling me about all the rules and regulations. She had this binder that was like 1,000 pages long. I noped out of there immediately. You're smarter than me, I said. I signed without reading the binder. Well, if you ever need to escape, give me a call. He handed me his business card. I can literally fly you out of there. We both laughed. It was a joke. I kept his card anyway, stuck it in my wallet. I had no idea that 3 weeks later I would actually call that number. It was a Sunday evening in early August. Sarah and I were having dinner at home. I had made spaghetti and meatballs, one of her favorites. We were sitting at the dining room table, talking about her school's plans for the upcoming year. She taught kindergarten, and she was excited about her new classroom. Everything was normal. Everything was fine. Then Sarah put down her fork. "Tom," she said quietly, "I don't feel good." I looked at her. Her face had gone pale. Really pale. "What's wrong?" I asked, immediately concerned. My chest feels tight. I can't breathe right." I stood up quickly. "Okay, let's get you to the couch. Just try to breathe slowly." I helped her to the living room couch. She sat down, her hand pressed to her chest. Her breathing was fast and shallow. "Sarah, talk to me. What are you feeling?" "Chest pain," she said. Her voice was strained. "Can't catch my breath. Tom, something's really wrong." I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. New underscore line. 911. "What is your emergency?" "My wife is having chest pain and difficulty breathing," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I think she might be having a heart attack." "What is your address, sir?" I gave the address. "Please hurry. An ambulance is being dispatched to your location now." "Is your wife conscious?" "Yes, but she's in pain and she can't breathe properly." "Okay, sir. Stay calm. Is she taking any medications?" I told the operator about Sarah's medications. She had just started taking something for her stress-related headaches a few weeks ago. "Sir, do you have aspirin in the house?" "Yes." "I want you to give her one adult aspirin, have her chew it, not swallow it whole." I ran to the bathroom, grabbed the aspirin bottle, and brought it back to Sarah. My hands were shaking. "Chew this, baby," I said, giving her the aspirin. She took it, but I could see she was getting worse. Her face was even paler now, almost gray. Her eyes looked scared. "The ambulance will be there in approximately 3 minutes," the operator said. That's when my phone buzzed with a text message. I glanced at it. It was from Tom Chen next door. "Ambulance at gate. Karen won't let them in." I read it again, not believing what I was seeing. "What?" I said out loud. "Sir?" the 911 operator asked. "The ambulance is at the gate," I said, my voice rising. "But the HOA president won't let them in." "Sir, that's—" "I have to go," I said. I looked at Sarah, who was barely conscious now. "I'll be right back. Stay with me, Sarah. Just stay with me." I called Karen's number. She answered on the second ring. "Hello, Mr. Patterson." Quote, "Karen, there's an ambulance at the gate." I was trying not to scream. "My wife is having a medical emergency. She might be having a heart attack. Let them in. Right now, Mr. Patterson," Karen said in that calm, infuriating voice. "I understand this is a stressful situation for you. However, all emergency service vehicles must be pre-registered according to Section 7, Paragraph 3 of our community bylaws. I need to verify their credentials and obtain proper documentation before I can—" "My wife is dying," I screamed. "Let them in. Mr. Patterson, there is no need to raise your voice. I am simply following established protocol. If you had taken the time to review Section 7 when you moved in, you would know that emergency vehicles require 48 hours advance notice for—" I hung up on her. Sarah made a small sound. She was slumping to the side. Her eyes were starting to close. "No, no, 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 no," I said, rushing back to her. "Sarah, stay awake. Look at me. Stay awake." That's when I remembered Mike's business card. It was still in my wallet. I pulled it out with shaking hands and dialed the number. "Please answer. Please, please answer." Mike Harrison. "Mike, it's Tom Patterson from the gym. Listen, I know this sounds insane, but I need that helicopter. Right now. My wife is having a medical emergency and the HOA president is blocking the ambulance at the gate." There was a moment of silence. "You're serious. Can you help me? Where exactly do you live?" I gave him the address. "I have a big backyard. Can you land there? If it's clear, yeah. I'm at the hospital right now. I can be there in 3 minutes. Please hurry." I hung up and looked around frantically. I needed help. I needed someone to stay with Sarah. I ran to the front door and threw it open. Tom Chen was standing in his yard. "Tom," I yelled, "I need help. Can you come stay with Sarah? The ambulance can't get in." "What can I do?" "Just stay with her. Keep her awake. I'm going to the gate." I ran. I ran faster than I have ever run in my life. Down our street, past the Chen's house, past 3 more houses, down Maple Avenue, all the way to the main gate. The ambulance was there, lights flashing, siren off. Two paramedics were standing outside their vehicle, arguing with Karen. Karen was standing in front of the ambulance with her clipboard. "I need to verify your credentials and obtain a signature on the visitor log," she was saying. "Ma'am, this is an emergency response to a 911 call," one of the paramedics said. He looked frustrated and angry. "We don't have time for this." "Nevertheless, community protocols must be followed," Karen said. "I am responsible for the safety and security of this neighborhood, and I cannot simply allow unauthorized vehicles to move," I shouted, running up to them. "Karen, move your car right now." Karen turned to me. Her expression didn't change at all. "Mr. Patterson, I understand you are upset, but these procedures exist for a reason. Security is important, and my wife is dying," I screamed. "Move your car, or I swear to God I will move it for you." "There is no need for threats," Karen said coldly. "I am simply doing my job as HOA president." One of the paramedics looked at me. "Sir, is there another entrance to this neighborhood?" "No," I said, not taking my eyes off Karen. "This is the only way in." "Then, ma'am, you need to move immediately or we will call the police," the paramedic said. "The police understand the importance of proper security measures," Karen replied. She was actually smiling a little. Section 5, paragraph 3 clearly states. That's when I heard it. The distant sound of helicopter blades. Thump, 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 thump. Everyone stopped and looked up. "What is that?" Karen asked. The sound was getting louder, closer. A police car pulled up. An officer got out and walked over to us. "What's going on here?" he asked. "Officer, thank God," Karen said immediately. "This man is threatening me, and these paramedics are trying to enter the community without proper—" "There's a medical emergency?" One of the paramedics cut in. "This woman is blocking us from responding to a 911 call." The officer looked at Karen. "Ma'am, move your vehicle. Now," the officer said firmly. The helicopter was getting louder. I could see it now, a red and white medical helicopter coming in low over the houses. "What is that?" the officer asked. "That's my ride," I said. "I called in a medical helicopter because this woman wouldn't let the ambulance through." Karen's mouth fell open. "You can't land a helicopter in the neighborhood. There are noise ordinances, property values, the bylaws specifically." "Ma'am, I suggest you move your car and step back," the officer said. Karen finally moved her car, but she immediately started walking toward me, waving her clipboard. "I am issuing you a formal violation for unauthorized aircraft operation in a residential zone," she shouted over the noise of the helicopter. "This is completely against." The officer stepped between us. "Ma'am, stay back." The paramedics jumped back into their ambulance and drove toward my house. I ran after them, the officer following in his patrol car. Behind us, I could hear Karen screaming. But I didn't care. The helicopter was circling my house now. I could see Mike in the pilot's seat. I pulled out my phone and called him. "Mike, the backyard!" "Land in the backyard." "Copy that." I ran into my house. Tom was kneeling next to Sarah, holding her hand. She was unconscious now. "Paramedics are here," I yelled. "They're right behind me." The paramedics came rushing in with their equipment. They immediately went to work, checking Sarah's vitals, hooking her up to a portable heart monitor, starting an IV. "Possible cardiac event," one of them said into his radio. "Female, 32 years old, unconscious, weak pulse, shallow breathing." Outside, the helicopter was landing. The noise was incredible. The windows rattled. Pictures fell off the walls. I could see neighbors coming out of their houses drawn by the noise. Some were recording on their phones. "We need to transport her immediately," the paramedic said to me. "County General has the best cardiac unit." "The helicopter is here," I said. "We can take her in that." "You called in a medevac chopper?" the paramedic asked, looking surprised. "When your HOA blocks an ambulance, you don't take chances," I said. We got Sarah onto a stretcher and wheeled her out the back door. The helicopter had landed perfectly in the center of my yard. The rotor blades were still spinning, creating a massive wind. Mike jumped out and ran over, ducking under the rotors. "Tom, where is she?" "Here." Mike and the paramedics worked together to transfer Sarah from the wheeled stretcher to the helicopter's medical stretcher. They moved fast, professional, getting her secured and connected to the helicopter's medical equipment. I looked up and saw Karen pushing through the crowd of neighbors. Her hair was wild from the rotor wash. Her face was bright red. "This is unauthorized," she was screaming. "I am issuing a violation, multiple violations." Noise ordinance, aircraft operation, lawn damage, property values. Nobody was listening to her. All the neighbors were watching the helicopter. Tom Chen was actually recording Karen on his phone, a big grin on his face. Mr. Patterson, you are hereby in violation of... The police officer caught up to her and took her by the arm. Ma'am, you need to step back. You're interfering with emergency medical services. I am the HOA president. I have the authority to... Step back now, the officer said more firmly. They loaded Sarah into the helicopter. Mike looked at me. You coming? As we lifted off, I could see the whole neighborhood below. People everywhere, all watching. Cars stopped in the street. Kids pointing at the sky. And Karen, standing in my backyard, waving her clipboard at the sky like some kind of angry prophet. Her mouth open, screaming words that nobody could hear over the rotor noise. Then we banked away toward County General Hospital, and Meadowbrook Estates disappeared behind us. Sarah spent 3 days in the hospital. The doctors said she had a severe panic attack that mimicked all the symptoms of a heart attack. It was caused by extreme, prolonged stress and anxiety. Mrs. Patterson, the doctor told us, your body was in a constant state of stress. Your cortisol levels were extremely elevated. Your blood pressure was dangerously high. Your body essentially went into crisis mode. From stress? Sarah asked quietly. Yes. Chronic stress can be just as dangerous as any physical disease. In your case, it manifested as what we call a pseudo-cardiac event. All the symptoms of a heart attack, but caused by anxiety and stress rather than a blockage in your arteries. What do we do? I asked. Remove the source of the stress, the doctor said simply. Whatever is causing this level of anxiety in your life needs to change. Medication can help manage the symptoms, but if the underlying cause isn't addressed, this will happen again. And next time, it might be worse. Sarah squeezed my hand. We both knew what the source of the stress was. We needed to deal with Karen. When we got home from the hospital, there were 47 text messages, 23 voicemails, and a letter taped to our front door. The letter was from the HOA. It was 5 pages long. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Patterson, you are hereby notified of the following violations committed on August 11th. 1. Unauthorized aircraft landing on residential property. $5,000. 2. Property damage, lawn from unauthorized aircraft. $2,500. 3. Noise ordinance violation, after 8 p.m. $500. 4. Disturbance of community peace, $250. 5. Failure to obtain pre-approval for emergency services, $1,000. 6. Creating a public spectacle, $500. 7. Emotional distress caused to HOA board members, $1,500. Total fines, $11,250. Payment is due within 30 days. Failure to pay will result in a lien being placed on your property and potential foreclosure proceedings. I read it twice. Then I laughed out loud. Sarah looked at me like I was crazy. Tom, she's charging us $1,500 for causing her emotional distress, I said, after she blocked an ambulance while you were having a medical emergency. What are we going to do? I looked at my phone. The text messages were all from neighbors. Emergency HOA meeting tomorrow night. Everyone is coming. We're voting Karen out. You're a hero. Karen needs to go. See you at the meeting. That the neighborhood is about to take care of this for us. The emergency HOA meeting was scheduled for Tuesday at 7 p.m. Sarah and I arrived at 6:45 and found the parking lot already full. Cars were parked on the street. People were everywhere. When we walked into the community center, I stopped and stared. Every single resident of Meadowbrook Estates was there. All 200-plus households. The meeting room, which normally held maybe 50 people comfortably, was packed with over 300 people. They were sitting in every chair, standing along the walls, sitting on the floor, spilling out into the hallway. Karen sat at the front table, alone. The other 4 board members had taken seats in the audience. When Sarah and I walked in, people started clapping, actually clapping. Tom Chen started it, and then everyone joined in. It was surreal. We found spots to stand along the back wall. Karen banged her gavel on the table. This meeting is out of order. There are too many people here. This violates fire safety codes. Everyone who is not... Sit down, Karen, said David Morrison. He was one of the former board members, a retired attorney in his 60s. He stood up and faced the crowd. I am calling for an emergency vote to remove Karen Williams as HOA president. effective immediately. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. "You cannot do that," Karen shouted, standing up. "I am the elected president of this board. You have no authority to—" "Actually, we do," David said calmly. "According to Section 33, Paragraph 2 of the bylaws you love so much, a two-thirds vote of all residents can remove any board member for cause. I believe blocking an ambulance during a medical emergency qualifies as cause." "I was following proper protocol," Karen said. "The bylaws clearly state that emergency vehicles must be pre-registered. I was doing my job." "You were on a power trip," Tom Chen called out. "You almost killed someone," Lisa Chen added. "You're a menace to this community," someone else shouted. Karen's face was bright red. "How dare you? I have given 5 years of my life to this neighborhood. I have maintained standards. I have protected your property values. You've made everyone miserable," an elderly woman called out. I recognized her as Mrs. Henderson from Oak Street. "My husband and I have lived here for 15 years, and you have made the last 5 years absolutely unbearable." "I got fined for having my grandchildren's toys in my yard," another person shouted. "I got fined for planting the wrong color of flowers. I got fined for having my garage door open while I was carrying in groceries." People were shouting out their grievances now. Years of frustration and anger pouring out all at once. Karen was screaming back, trying to defend herself. But nobody was listening. David Morrison held up his hands for quiet. It took a few minutes, but eventually the room settled down. "All in favor of removing Karen Williams as HOA president, raise your hand," David said. Every single hand in the room went up. All 300 plus people. Karen looked around the room, her expression changing from anger to shock to something like fear. You can't—" "I'll sue all of you," she said, her voice shaking now. I'll file a complaint with— the county will hear about this. The county will hear that you blocked emergency services," David said, "which, by the way, is illegal under state law. The Pattersons could press charges against you if they wanted to." Karen grabbed her purse and clipboard. "You're all going to regret this. This neighborhood will fall apart without proper leadership. Property values will plummet. It will be chaos." She walked toward the door. The crowd parted to let her through. Nobody said goodbye. After she left, there was a moment of silence. Then someone started clapping again, and soon everyone was applauding and cheering. David Morrison waited for quiet again. "We need to elect a new president," he said. "I nominate myself." "I nominate Tom Chen," someone called out. "I nominate anyone who isn't crazy," someone else said, getting a laugh. They voted. David Morrison became the new HOA president with Tom Chen as vice president. David's first official act was to void all of Karen's violations from the past 6 months, including our $11,250 in fines. His second act was to form a committee to completely rewrite the HOA bylaws. 3 weeks later, the new bylaws were published. They were 12 pages long, down from 300 plus. The new rules were simple. 1. Maintain your property in reasonable condition. 2. No loud noise after 10 p.m. on weeknights, 11 p.m. on weekends. 3. Number illegal activity. 4. No commercial vehicles parked on the street overnight. 5. Be respectful to your neighbors. 6. Emergency vehicles never, ever need pre-approval. That was it. That was the whole thing. The medication helped, but mostly what helped was not living under constant stress and fear of the next HOA violation. Meadowbrook Estates became an actual community. People talked to each other. Kids played in the streets. Tom Chen mounted his basketball hoop in full view and nobody cared. Someone painted their front door bright red, and it looked great. Mike and I became good friends. We had coffee every week, and he told me stories about his rescue missions. He said the call from me was still his favorite story to tell. "I mean, I've airlifted people from some crazy situations," he said one day. "But getting called to rescue someone from their own HOA? That's a first." Karen moved away about 3 months after the meeting. "I heard she'd bought a condo in Florida. No yard to maintain, no neighbors to police. Probably better for everyone." The helicopter landing left a circular pattern of flattened grass in my backyard. I thought about reseeding it, but Sarah wanted to keep it. "It's a reminder," she said. "Of what?" "That sometimes you have to break the rules to do the right thing." The property values in Meadowbrook Estates actually went up after Karen left. Turns out people are willing to pay more to live in a neighborhood where they won't get fined for existing. And I still have Mike's business card in my wallet, just in case. though I really hope I never have to call him again. But if I do, I know he'll be there in 3 minutes.